All right, I'm Chef Rodney with Table 301. We're here in the Soby's Loft. We are doing the master series of culinary techniques with Mill Village Farms. I hope you were able to see our grill out special that we did. We had a wonderful time grilling, and hopefully you donated some money, or hopefully you're thinking about donating some money, and we'd like to just do some fun stuff with you to help support that effort. So today we're talking about some knife skills. We're using the boning knife. We've got in front of us here the Braveheart Choice Beef Tenderloin, 100% Black Angus beef. You won't find me talking too much about the brands of the things we do. It's not really my style, but you'll see this on our menus and you'll see that we really stand by it. And I wanted you to really see that when I was talking about it during the grill out, I wasn't playing around. We really use that product. I know a lot of people say one thing and don't always do what they say, but we're doing it, and this is a wonderful product, so I'm excited to share it with you. So if you were to go into your store, your butcher, and you want to buy filet mignon steaks, it costs you an arm and a leg, I think you know that. But if you were to buy a whole beef tenderloin, you'd probably say, what in the world am I going to do with a whole beef tenderloin? A, I got to figure out how to cut it into steaks. B, whoa, it seems like so much. I'm going to show you that it's not really so much, and for a lot less money, you can have the same steaks plus some other goodies because you bought the whole piece instead of having the butcher do it. So let's start by opening it. You can see I already opened it and cleaned it just a little bit. I didn't actually put a knife to it in any way. All I did is pat it down. Usually if I'm fabricating, I'll have some paper towels and some towels close by. Try to keep my area as neat as I can as I work. So even you see I spilled a little there, we'll just do a quick cleanup. Keep the place as neat as possible. All right, so looking at the tenderloin, you have the bottom section right there, and then you have what we'll call the top. All right, I'm gonna turn it around. I had it that way so you could read the label. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna start, the objective at first is to remove excess fat and sinew. Not all fat is excess, but we have to get to this sinew, okay? In the business, I like to tell you guys some of the things we say. We call it silver skin, and you'll see why in a second. And so whenever we're dealing with any piece of meat, the first thing we say is, how much silver skin does it have on it? And what will we do? Do we need to take it off or not? In the case of beef tenderloin, you do need to take it off because we're gonna grill or roast this piece of meat, which means it doesn't have a time to tenderize that. If you were braising it, like short ribs, like briskets, you don't necessarily have to take all that off because it will, in the long cooking process, become tender with the rest, okay? So, however, whenever there's excess, you would take it off. In a tenderloin, we've got all this fat, so all I'm doing, and I haven't really, as you can see, touched my knife to it really. We're just sort of taking it like that. Now we're gonna get to where there's a little pocket here, and we do wanna separate it. So we will just take our knife, stick it in there, and separate it. And we're coming to what we call this the head of the tender, okay? It has nothing to do with the head of the cow. We just call it the head, okay? And this we call the tail, the thin end, all right? This whole side right here sort of came off, like we started pulling, and there it is. Now, some butchers, some restaurants will just sort of take this stuff off and leave that on and then serve you that as a steak. You'll never find that in one of our restaurants. We will always take this off. So you look in, and all this is about feeling and looking. So you want to keep doing that, okay? You see, he's running his hands on that a lot. Yes, I'm feeling what I need to do. And I'm not putting a knife anywhere I don't need to put a knife. So as we go down, if you can look right in there, Dan. Okay, we're gonna just start, and we're gonna start separating that very gently. Tip of our knife, no more. We're just gonna separate this, and we're gonna keep that fat basically to this side. Like I said, we call that, I don't think I said, we call this the chain. We call it the chain. So we're gonna take off the chain, okay? And then we're gonna take it off to the end for what we're doing today, because we won't use it on any of our steaks. Okay, now once you have your chain off, there's meat here. I just want to show you. A lot of places, a lot of people will just throw this away, and that's fine. The meat's a little hard to get to. You're not gonna just do everything with it, but I just wanna show you a couple things. There's the fat here, and we were talking about silver skin. So this is the silver skin, but you see that this is covered in it too. So we wanna just, you can feel, if you feel right in there, you can feel right where the meat ends and this silver skin begins. So all I wanna do is take my knife, stick it right through there, and just gently cut that off. We're not cleaning up the whole entire chain here. We're just gonna get this amazing piece of meat right here. See what I'm doing there? Just shaving that away. Where I see fat and sinew that I don't want, or silver skin that I don't want, we just basically cut it away. All right, and then coming back. You can see and feel this. It feels like a separation, and it is a separation, so you can just cut it. Now, you have this wonderful piece of meat. This is not a steak. I would never serve this to someone as a steak. But, taking off this silver skin, a little bit here, actually a little bit right here, and we won't get really 100% of it, which is one reason why you're not gonna serve this as a steak. But now we have this nice piece of meat, and we'll talk about some things you can do with it. You could cut this like this, you could put it on a skewer, you could make it into a kebab, you could pound it out and you could make a country fried steak, or you could make it steak milanese, or you could make it parmesan. There's just a ton of different things you could do with it if you want to. All right, and then you can kind of feel, the bigger the fillet that you have, the bigger the tenderloin you have, the bigger the chain will be, and the more chances for you to find more amazing morsels of meat. And like I said, you can kind of feel them in there. So I don't want to spend too much time on the chain, but there's meat all in here that we can get to, that you can do things with. That's my point there, okay? If you have a grinder, you can take all the silver skin off, and then the rest of this fat and meat, you can grind it, and then you can make it meatballs or meatloaf or anything like that you like. Okay, so that's our chain. Okay? Now, we're still back now to this, the rest of this tenderloin, okay? We have excess fat right here, we're gonna take it off. And we have a big chunk of fat right here. Again, this is where you wanna use you wanna feel and look and run your knife gently. Because every time you cut away meat, you lost money, okay? So you wanna just get the stuff you're trying to cut off. All right. One trick, I don't always do this, but I want to show it to you, is it's hard to see the silver skin underneath this fat. So I'll take the back of my knife where it's not sharp, and I'll just run it and kind of just uncover it. Now I can see better so I don't take up meat. Okay? Now, how do we get rid of this? Turning the knife towards the tail, I will gently stick it under and through, and then just come up. Now you've got something to grab. We grab it and just slide our knife right underneath it. Right underneath it. And tilt your knife up a little, because you don't want to take off too much meat. You're just trying to take off the silver skin or the sinew. All right? We'll do it again right here. So we stick our knife right under, see how I can see the knife through it. Then pulling tight the opposite direction. And the nice and tighter you pull, the easier it is to get right under it. And there you go. We have all of that silver skin off. We're gonna deal with this, back to this part, which we call the head, right? As you open it, you can see that it does separate as two muscles, this one and this one. And we will just shave it off there. Now we have this one and this one, okay? So the best cuts of filet mignon come from what they call the barrel. This is the barrel. This is center cut filet mignon, comes right off this. Chateaubriand is literally that part of that. You hear them say Chateaubriand all the time. If you don't get exactly this part, you can't have this, you can't have this, you can't have this for sure. Okay, right in there, Chateaubriand, a couple of steaks worth. Okay, so we've got this, and now we want to clean it up some more because you don't want too much fat on your steaks. So you come over here, and one thing you can do is it tapers quickly, and we can't have that on a steak, so we may cut it there. Okay, so that's a nice chunk you can do a kebab with or something, but now we can have a nice steak. This is a little too much fat here, so we'll just sort of trim it. You leave a little fat because this fat cooks off, okay? This is not silver skin, so we can leave some of it. Up here, it's getting to be where it's too much, so we have to trim it a little. Okay? And I'm just kind of holding on and just sort of shaving it. Here too, same thing, shaving it a little, and then there too, shaving it. Okay, and when we get to this tail, there's not much you can do with it there either. So just kind of come down, and we're gonna take that off. Again, this is a piece. First of all, it's got a lot of fat on it, so we're gonna take that fat off. We can still do that and still salvage a lot of it. We can take this, we can pound it out, just as we can these. We can almost just kind of put that with that and do all kinds of things, or we can grind it, or there's any number of things we can do with it. Okay, little more fat. We got a little too much still here. I know it's painful. You don't want to keep cutting away, but you do have to. So be patient, because you're saving enough money from buying cut steaks that it's not too bad if you have to just see some of this trim happening. All right, so there you go. That is the barrel ready to be cut into steaks. Here is the head. We're gonna do the same thing. We can cut steaks out of this head. We're just gonna only have head steaks on the head, and we're just gonna have the barrel steaks from the barrel. We're not gonna try to keep them together. So, where you see the silver skin, you just clean it up, take it off. Where you see too much fat, you just clean it up. All right, then what we're gonna do is square it off. Again, that's something that can be pounded out and turned into something. This here could be a kebab, could be stir fry, could be all kind of things. So those are some nice little pieces that came actually from this. Okay, and now we're starting to look like a steak already. And I would say we could make two pretty nice steaks out of this. Okay, take off a little more of that. All right, then we'll cut these across, and you have two nice steaks. Okay, then we'll come back here. We'll start from the head end and we'll cut some steaks. One. We're into the Chateaubriand now. See the marbling's beautiful. It's a beautiful steak. And then here, what I like to do is go ahead and cut it some more nice, and then we can still make this into a very nice steak. And we do a little bit of shaping with our hands when we get to that end. If you find that this chunk here is a little too much, you can just trim it. And there you go. You still have a beautiful steak, and this will actually be a very tender steak. All right, now, okay, if we take off the chain, so let's just say that this is really, for all intents and purposes, not usable scrap, but we were able to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 nice steaks, plus some other really nice meat that you can do a lot of different things with, okay? This is the trash, that's the good stuff. That's the beef tenderloin. Thank you, I hope you enjoyed doing that, and I hope you're willing to go out, grab yourself a tenderloin, cut your own steaks.